Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Longevity Weekly. This is a show where I bring you all the news and updates from the world of health, wellness and longevity. And this week we've got three more fascinating topics. The first one on the world's ageing population. Number two, we've got the longevity panel. And then thirdly, the new type of blood test which detects over 50 different types of cancer. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, firstly, the world's population is getting older. In 1970, the global median age was 21 and a half years old. In 2019, this number had risen to over 30. Now, lower fertility rates are a major contributor to population ageing, and so countries with faster growing populations tend to have lower median age. In many ways, population ageing is a symptom of a successful modern society. Life expectancy has soared over the last 100 years, while fertility rates have plummeted. The latter is a result of factors such as more women in education and employment, better healthcare and education, and lower infant mortality, all great success stories. However, they leave us with a mounting problem called the age dependency ratio. A stable working population is necessary to support a country's economy. Those between the ages of 15 and 65 are often considered as a working age population, while those outside of this group can be seen as at least partially dependent on the working age group. The ratio of the dependent groups to the working group is known as the age dependency ratio. If this ratio is high, there is a negative economic impact as a larger proportion of the working population is required to financially support and care for the dependent population. Now, in developed countries, age dependency ratios are rising due to population ageing. Japan has a ratio of 67%, in Italy it's currently 58%, and the US has a ratio of 52%. And these countries are really starting to feel the impact of these demographic shifts. It was reported recently that young millennials in Italy are being offered up to €30,000 to move out of the cities to the rural communities to support the rapidly ageing villages. And secondly, a couple of weeks ago, my friend and colleague here at Going Live, Avi Roy, along with Nathan Chen and Laura Minquini, hosted the longevity panel discussion, which assembled some of the biggest contributors in the field currently working on reversing ageing, including people such as David Sinclair, Greg Fahey, Aubrey de Grey, and many more. Now, the discussion was to illuminate how they're approaching longevity and to know if we're getting any closer to achieving it. Here's a short clip.
What are the two or three things that you intrinsically believe that it is inevitable in the future of longevity, aging, health within the next decade?
So actually, the thing that I think is most inevitable over the next 10 years, since that time frame you asked about, is a change of public attitudes with regard to what's going to happen in the subsequent 10 or 20 years. At the moment, almost everybody in the world still believes that they're probably going to live only a few years longer than their parents did, and indeed that they're going to stay healthy for only a few years longer than their parents did. And I'm convinced that there will be a tipping point where the results and indeed the public statements of people like myself and David are going to change that. And when they do, those changes are going to happen very suddenly. I believe there's going to be a really sharp tipping point when people like Oprah Winfrey get on board with this, that is going to going to herald a very turbulent few years while we figure out what to do with the general belief on most people's parts that they're going to live healthily for a lot longer than their parents did.
Yeah, Aubrey, well said. I can feel it already in society. I think this clubhouse meeting here is evidence of that. We're living through this really historical moment where I don't know if you've followed Aubrey and me for that long, but even just 10 years ago and certainly 20 years ago, we were really on the fringe and people thought we were crazy. And I think it'll be common to be monitored by your doctor. It'll be common to take senolytic cocktails. It'll be common to treat diseases with therapies that reverse aging.
So thanks again to all the panellists for taking time out of their busy schedule to come and participate in the discussion. You can watch a full video and check out the show notes in the link down below. And finally, the early detection of cancers can be extremely important for the survival of the patient. Certain cancers, such as pancreatic cancer, are very hard to detect in the early stages, making them even more deadly as treatment may not begin until the cancer has already spread throughout the body. Now, developing tests to screen for cancers in those most at risk may save many lives. For such a test to be useful in screening a large number of individuals, it must be sufficiently specific, i.e. have a low false positive rate. Researchers previously developed a blood test for cancer that uses machine learning to analyse cell-free DNA, which is shed by both normal and cancer cells. Genomic sequencing is used to detect methylation, a chemical change in which tags are added to the DNA and that control gene expression. The machine learning algorithm is used to detect methylation patterns that suggest that cancer is present, and also predicts where the cancer is likely to be located. Now, in this investigation, the researchers studied the test's ability to detect cancer in over 4,000 participants who were either diagnosed with cancer or who were scheduled to undergo biopsy. The test was able to detect more than 50 different types of cancer across all 4 of the main stages. The test's ability to avoid false positives was 99.5%, meaning that the test wrongly detected cancer in only 0.5% of cases. It also correctly identified the location of the cancer in 88.7% of cases. Now, previous results suggest that the test is capable of detecting cancers before symptoms emerge. The test is sufficiently sensitive and specific that it could be rolled out as a screening test in those who are at a high risk of cancer, including those over the age of 50. The test is also scheduled to be piloted by the NHS England in the autumn. And that is it for another episode of Gowing Life's Longevity Weekly. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you'd like to find out more about anything that I talked about today, then you can find all of the links down below. Also, please check out the Gowing Life website to have a look at some of the new articles that we've been writing this week, including the 101 Facts About Aging, and also my recent talk with Dr. Emil Kenziora about his company Tomorrow Biostasis, which specialises in cryopreservation. So go and check it out. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.